Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Gante, and you already know what time it is. It's time to use our brains and become scientists. We are still talking about pollution and conservation, but today we're going to dive deeper into pollution. So as we look at the picture on our left, it has been taken from the book that you were reading during this lesson of A River Ran Wild, and I want you to think about what connections you have made with that book and pollution. And as you think about those connections, I want you to look at this image that is on the right. It is the top 10 trash found in the world's oceans. So later after this presentation, you can always go back to the beginning, or you can pause the video now to just see the top 10 trash that we find in the ocean today. So let's go ahead and get started with what is pollution. Pollution happens when the environment is contaminated or dirtied by waste, chemicals, and other harmful substances. There are three main forms of pollution: air, water, and land. For this lesson, we're going to be talking about water. So what is water pollution? Water pollution is when waste, chemicals, or other particles cause a body of water, rivers, oceans, lakes, to become harmful to the fish and animals that need the water to survive. Water pollution can disrupt and negatively impact nature's water cycle as well. What are the different causes of water pollution? Boys and girls, this can be categorized into two main categories. So we have our natural causes, which would include acid rain, and then we have our human causes, where we have oil spills or littering. So talking about natural causes, sometimes water pollution can occur through natural causes like volcanoes, algae blooms, animal waste, and silt from storms and floods. And here in this photo, I tried to capture a volcano that was erupting and it's going straight into the ocean. On the opposite end, we have human causes. A lot of water pollution comes from human activity. Some human causes include sewage, pesticides and fertilizers from farms, waste, water, and chemicals from factories, silt from construction sites, and trash from people littering. So here we can see a picture of a seahorse that is holding on to a cotton tip. Now I want you to think about that because cotton tips are not found naturally in the ecosystem of a seahorse. So I want you to think, how did this cotton swab get all the way to the bottom of the ocean? Let's dive deeper into acid rain. Air pollution can also have a direct effect on water pollution. When particles like sulfur dioxide get high into the air, they can combine with rain to produce acid rain. Acid rain can turn lakes acidic, killing fish and other animals. So I want you guys to think about that, how air pollution can connect to water pollution. Having all those chemicals rise up into the air can really have a lasting effect on how our ecosystem and how Earth tries to regenerate itself. So now let's talk about oil spills. Some of the most famous incidents of water pollution have been oil spills. One was the Exxon Valdez oil spill, which occurred when an oil tanker hit a reef off the coast of Alaska and over 11 million gallons of oil spilled into the ocean. Another bad oil spill was the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, when an explosion at an oil well caused over 200 million gallons to spill into the Gulf of Mexico. So boys and girls, these are just two oil spills. And later, towards the end of this lesson, you're going to see an oil spill simulation. This simulation experiment is going to show us what happens to the ocean when oil spills into it. So now let's get into the types of water pollutants. We have sewage. Even today, sewage is flushed directly into streams and rivers in many areas around the world. Sewage can introduce harmful bacteria that can make people and animals very sick. Farm animal waste, waste from large herds of farm animals such as pigs and cows, can get into the water supply from the runoff of rain and large storms. Pesticides are often sprayed on crops to kill bugs and herbicides are sprayed to kill weeds. These strong chemicals can get into the water through runoff of rainstorms, and they can also contaminate rivers and lakes through accidental spills. And lastly, we have factories often use a lot of water to process chemicals, keep engines cool, and for washing things away. The used waste water is sometimes dumped into rivers or even the ocean, and it can be full of pollutants. So what are the effects of water pollution? Water pollution can have disastrous effects on the environment. So the first thing, water pollution or pollution in the water can reach a point where there isn't enough oxygen in the water for fish to breathe. And yes, fish can actually suffocate. Another thing is pollution can affect the food chain. So small fish are absorbing these pollutants, such as chemicals, into their bodies. And then bigger fish are eating the smaller fish, and they are getting those pollutants as well. So birds and other animals may eat the bigger fish and may be harmed by the pollutants. So it is going into a natural cycle of pollution. Sewage, we talked about sewage, can also cause major problems in rivers. So the bacteria in the water will use oxygen to kind of like break down the sewage. But if there is too much sewage, the bacteria can use up a lot of oxygen and there won't be enough left for the fish. And as we've said before, yes, fish can suffocate. And then for water pollution from major events like acid rain or oil spills can completely destroy marine habitats. How to prevent water pollution? So what can we do? Well, the first thing is that we can save water. Fresh and clean water is a precious resource. So don't waste it. Take shorter showers. Ask your parents not to water the lawn. Make sure the toilet isn't running. And don't leave the faucet running. The second thing that we can do is not to use weed killer. Ask your parents if you can pull the weeds from the yard so you don't have to use weed killer, which is an herbicide. The next thing that you can do is to scrape your plates clean into the trash and don't put grease into the kitchen drain. And lastly is trash. Always pick up your trash, especially when you're at the beach, lake, or a river. So you're about to observe an experiment. I want you to make sure you have your science notebook and a pencil ready so you can write down any notes. We are going to complete an oil spill simulation. All right, boys and girls, let's just jump right into it. So here I have my baking dish, and this is going to serve as my ocean. Now, it doesn't have to be a glass baking dish. It could also be a tin foil pan. But for the sake of my video, I'm going to be using a glass baking dish. Now, you can't have just an ocean without water. So that's where my styrofoam cup is going to come in, and I'm going to be using this to pour water, so this will be my ocean. Now, I'm going to be dyeing my ocean blue. And since we said we were going to see how an oil simulation works, an oil spill, I have here canola oil that I'm going to dye green just for the sake of this video so that we're able to see it. How are we going to clean it up? I want you guys to think about that. We're scientists. We have to wonder. So I have a spoon, have some cotton, have some paper towels, and then I have some Dawn dish soap. So I want you to start brainstorming how I'm going to be using that to clean it up. So clearing everything out of the way, because I want you guys to have a clear view. Here I have my ocean. So I picked a clear glass container so that you are able to see. This is my ocean. It is completely untouched, not damaged by anything. First, I want you to think, what's going to happen when that oil touches this ocean? So I want you to pause the video and think what's going to happen. So here I have my oil. So let's get started. And maybe over here. Can you guys see that? Let me bring you in closer. What do you notice about that oil spill? Think about how the ocean looked before. All right, boys and girls, so let's go ahead and start our cleanup. The first item that I'm going to try to use is the cotton. So I'm going to break that up. And as you can see how it was 2 big circles, now it's just 1 big lump of a circle. So here I am going to try it with 2 pieces of cotton. So it looks like it's soaking it up some, but you guys, I think it's just spreading it around. So let me try again with the clean side. Oh no, it is spreading it around. Let me try it with the fresh one. And as you can see, it's soaking up some, but not enough to help me get back to my original ocean and how it was looking. So now, let's try the spoon. I got some of it, and I have my trash can here beside me where I'm pouring it all out. But I want you boys and girls to think, is this efficient? It's picking up some, but it's not helping me that much. I'm able to pick up a little bit, but in the end, I'm also taking out big chunks of the ocean. So as you can see, I'm taking some of the oil, but I am also taking a huge portion of ocean water along with me. Look at that. All right, so now let's try the next method, paper towels. Now these are cotton paper towels, so what do you think? Do you think it's going to behave like how the bunches of cotton will? All right, here we go. Boys and girls, once again, it seems that I'm only soaking up the water. I'm not picking up the oil. Even if I place it down like this, boys and girls, it's just soaking up water. Let me bring you in so that you can see. It is only soaking up water. The oil chunks, they're still there. So what are we going to do? I want you to pause the video and think about that. So boys and girls, where I originally started with 2 drops of water, there are multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and more patches of oil in my ocean. What do you think? The last tool that I'm going to use is some Dawn dish soap. This was actually used to help clean up some of the animals that have suffered from oil spills, which is why there's ducks on the front. So I'm going to try this next, but before I try it, I want you to stop the video and I want you to think what's going to happen. All right, here I go. I'm going to be putting 1 drop in the middle of this big oil patch. Did y'all just see that? Did you guys see how 1 drop of the Dawn dish soap, what did it do? I want you guys to pause the video right now and think, what just happened? Now, boys and girls, if you said that it spread the oil and it brought it to the sides of the dish, you are absolutely right. This makes it just a little bit easier for scientists to be able to clean up this oil that has damaged our ocean. So now I'm going to try it again with a paper towel, and I'm going to try to pick up what I can. All right, so now the oil here is more concentrated, so it's not breaking it up. So I have to go back with my spoon method and be able to spoon this oil out. So now, boys and girls, I want you guys to think, is this ocean ever going to be like how it was before? Now, boys and girls, I want you to think about that simulation that we just had. An oil spill is a form of water pollution, and it's genuinely found in that marine ecosystem. Now, oil spills can happen on land too, but when oil spills or oil leaks and spills into water, oil spills can be very difficult to clean up, as you have just seen. Now, in my experiment, I didn't have any marine animals, but I want you to think about what happens in the real ocean with fish and shellfish and marine birds and other mammals. What happens to them when oil spills occur? The dish soap really helped a lot because it was able to break up the oil into smaller droplets so that we were able to pick it up with other tools. But boys and girls, this is not a fix-it tool. So as we wrap up this simulation, I want you to think of how we as humans can help prevent water pollution. I'll see you guys on the next one.